Welcome to That Davis Show. I am Kenneth Davis. Follow me at That's Davis on all social media platforms. I'm always fortunate enough to be joined by my buddy Ryan Bukoveski. He's the executive producer. Follow him at Ryan B. Ski and Ryan B. Ski1 on Instagram, even though, again, he doesn't use it and doesn't post our stuff because he's a terrible partner. He's not a terrible partner. He's a really good partner. So look, I want to... You say what?
Terrible in ways.
We all are. So I wanted to we all are. I don't post our stuff as quickly as I need. Well, I don't label it and do the things that I need to do as quickly as I need. So I'm terrible in some ways too, bro. So anyway, start a new segment, right? And these are old stories because I've been washed forever. All right. So it's called Have You Been Pulled Up On? And I want you, all right, everyone that follows us and listens to us on whatever platform you listen to us. So if you're watching this on YouTube, to list stories where you've been pulled up on. Now, I won't set a limitation on this. Now, initially, it'll be dating pull-ups. So, for instance, I'm with a young lady, some other young lady pulls up. But there also can be threats where I'm with a young lady, and unbeknownst to me, her and her violent baby daddy have linked back up, and he now knows where she lives, way in the burbs, and now he's threatening to hurt me and my vehicle. But that's a story for another day. That's almost getting killed pulled up. All right. So there's several. I have several of these stories, old stories that I want to bring to this to live on. Maybe so when I'm old and I'm washed up more, maybe my son could go back and my daughter and listen.
Well, what about the grandkids? Listen here, my little grandbabies.
When I was a young whippersnapper, I was getting it and getting it and getting
Bring
it.
Bring out the hologram YouTube. I got a story to show you.
This is another segment for another day. Turn-ons and turn-offs. Oh, yes. Keep this in mind, Ryan. I'm going to write this right now. Another segment. Segment.
I like the producing at the same time. Can't do anything wrong with that. That is a never-ending list, I feel like.
Yeah, we have to because we're trying to transition. Some real life stuff, some less childish things. Sometimes I feel like we've occupied our time with childishness, which we still will in some regard, but we're grown ass men. You know, we want to bring some quality of life.
What do people care about? They care about this shit.
Right.
Let's be honest.
So this story is about, I'm going to label this story, Townie pulling up in the hoopty, or a knight, as we used to call them. So down in Carbondale, people that were townies were known as carbonites, right? So did you guys used to call them carbonites when you were in Carbondale, Ryan?
I think so. I think we would like joke around with all of them because it's like, what the hell do you call the Carbononians, the Carbonites? Like
so we would call them. So, and of course, us being brothers, we have to shorten that. We're not always going to be like, yeah, carbonite. So we would call them knights. Oh, yeah, you know, she a knight or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I dated a townie. I hooked up with a townie. And my first girlfriend down there was from Southern Illinois. She was from Cairo, which we would call Cairo. Right.
That's what I always thought it was.
My uncle who's from down there too. And he would be like, Cairo and Cairo ain't the same. I'm like, they're spelled the same way. All right. I was like, it's called Little Egypt for a reason down there. Anybody doesn't know the mascot for Southern Illinois is the Salukis. It's an Egyptian dog or whatever, right? It looks like a greyhound with long fur, basically. Anyway.
Which I don't understand. You would think the Egyptian dog would be the greyhound with no fur.
Right, being that it's exactly that it's in the heat and whatever like that, whatever. So anyway,
I demand a dog with fur.
So this was a time where this was a weekend where we went out, you know, and you had these weekends where you just smashed the town. I don't mean that sexually. I mean that to where we went to like 3 or 4 different parties. I got numbers from like 3 or 4 different girls, about 3 or 4 different girls this weekend. But the thing was, we only had like 2 weeks left to the school year, right? So you're trying to get up with all these girls before getting out. Like one girl, I didn't even link up with.
Let me ask you too, on top of it, are you getting attention on top of it? Because then it's extra motivation for those 2 weeks.
Oh, it was, I can't, listen, this is decent. I was hot business for a couple summers, all right? I mean, for real. Like, I I remember this girl the year before. So this happened like this would happen at the end of every year. Cause sometimes I didn't do partying all the time, right? But at the end of the year, I was out. And I remember this is a story. Let me run this one because I haven't brought this over here. Some of these stories have been talked about on D and Davis, but now for this audience, it's a broader audience actually. I want to bring some of those up. So it was one story of hooking up freshman year, end of freshman year, and needing to sell
an eventful freshman year.
This was sophomore year. This was sophomore year at the time. I'm about to body for my friend's ride. I'm not gonna give them.
I love how this is coming off of exceptionally looking Ken. Oh, that reminds me of a story.
But it's because the girl in that story, I remember her telling me that she's like, I don't remember you the first half of this first semester, first half of the year, right? And I told her, I was like, I had real curly hair. I wore this red Helly Hansen coat. And she was like, that was you? I was like, yeah, that was me, right? I was two different dudes. They loved them both. No, okay, enough tooting my own horn, right? Oh, I got
I was the guy with the guitar on the lawn.
Right. That was you. That was just like, yeah, that was me. That was my hair. Now this time I think I had I had a low do. I'm brushing it, but I had I had
my shirt actually covers the chesticles. You didn't see that the first time.
So anyway. So this time we went out and we kicked it so hard this weekend, right? And I remember being I think we may have been in the ditch. We was dancing in Wendy's parking lot, waiting for food. We went to 2 different parties. I ended up, and funny part, because I ended up, I always got it. Back when I was young, I had to go to your projects to see if you had flowers in front of your buildings, how hard you was keeping it. Right. So I used to travel. And when we traveled, after now, we'd be like, let's pull up in Little Havana. Let's go to Watts. Let's see what these people, what they talking about. If they ghettos are really the ghettos or whatever. Right. I don't have to do that now. But back in those days, I wanted to know. Right. So I was in the Carbondale projects and I was hanging out. And because I met this young lady while kicking it that weekend, nice looking young lady. Right. Red bone, whatever. So we hooked up, and I got more stories attached to this young lady in this situation that are even more funny and hilarious. And I was telling after one about 2 or 3 weeks ago. She just reminded me I was telling her. But so this young lady, I had ghosted at this point, right? Totally ghosted her or whatever, right? Because again, I'll tell you why. It's attached to a story about our segment about turn-ons and turn-offs. All right. Actually, let me add that to turn-ons and turn-offs. That in there.
This is excellent. Every step of this story along the way has inspired 3 more stories.
I have to help you. I have to help you more. I have to help. Ryan comes up with a lot of our subjects. He does a terrific job, and I need to help him out more. That's what buddies do. That's what partners do. All right. So anyway, I've ghosted this young lady, and Ryan, anybody knows, me and my partners lived in Lewis Park. Now, to give you a kind of a geography, a point of where in Lewis Park, right when you across from where the mailbox used to be, and you make that right to leave out of Lewis Park, there are 4 townhomes right there. We lived in one of those 4 townhomes, right? So if you're driving through Lewis Park, you can either turn left, go into the office building. You can kind of keep straight and go into another parking lot, or you can hang a hard right and it'll take you out of Lewis Park. We were at the part right before you made the hard right. So everyone, even in Lewis Park, if we was outside, we would see who was in Lewis Park and who wasn't in Lewis Park, right? So I've ghosted this young lady, and my buddies, their girlfriends are with them, and we're leaving out. Actually, my buddy may have just stolen 2 27-inch TVs, VCR, two high capacity VCRs. Just to let you know how old this was, and 2 right, and a speed rewinder, right? So one day my roommate goes to Walmart because y'all don't understand when we moved out of the city, we didn't know these places weren't secure and guarded like they were. That's bad for my people. But so my buddy, he went through. People go through klepto phases. Like my klepto phase. Me and my younger cousin Donnie. He used to live in. He used to stay in Ivy Wells. I would go spend the night over my auntie's house, my mother's twin sister house. She lived in Ivy Wells. There's a Walgreens on 35th, kind of 35th and King Drive. This weekend, me and Donnie stole over $100 worth of Ninja Turtle action figures from Walgreens. He got caught. I dropped what I had and booked it. The pharmacist lady let him go, though. He got caught by a pharmacist. I told him we was being too greedy at this point, but we were going for the record. We would just go home and be like, let's go back up there, right?
I'm picturing Ocean's 11, but instead of stuffing $100 bills in a bag,
dude. And look, I did it at Woolworth off of 79th Street. All right, for anybody that knows that Woolworth back there by Colfax and all that used to be back there, I got a whole G.I. Joe tank in my pants, right? Walked in the car, sat in the car. My daddy drove me, didn't know I was stealing. Had to sit in the car with that thing pinching me crazy and act like nothing was wrong, right? And I mean, I remember looking.
Son, you're crying. What's happening? Nothing.
Dude,
it's allergies.
I went through it. So I went through it young, and I was done. I didn't have to steal anymore. I never got caught. I was fine. I got out of my klepto phase because my friends were kind of doing it. This is in junior high. My friends in my neighborhood, Larry and Arion, they were doing it. So we were this is kind of what sent me off on this little klepto streak at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna put it my buddy Kahari, who was my best friend at the time, right? He was really stealing. All right. Like, so he pulls up one day and parks. Now I told you where on Lewis Park we live, right? He parks on the grass right in front of the front door, right? Oh, he's like, come down here, come here. Next thing I know, I'm helping him unload two big ass TVs and these VCRs. He stole so much that Walmart changed where the electronics was and put it in a place where you had to basically walk through one of those electronic bells that would go off.
The massive TVs, and this is back in the day TVs. These things, when you
people don't understand. Like these things, they weighed like 40 pounds or 45 pounds.
Right? On a side, like you need two people for sure.
Right, dude. Look, he put them in he put them in the basket, and he had a receipt, and he was like, dude, it hit him because what my other roommate told him you could probably do. So one night I wasn't there. Either I was asleep or I was out of town. They have a conversation with my other roommate, him and his girlfriend sparked the idea and was like, you know what? You could probably get away with this at Walmart. And it puts the light bulb above his head. He goes and does it, right? So anyway.
Flash forward 3 months later. Hey, can you take one of these TVs out of my truck, man?
Listen,
taking up all the room.
No, let me tell you this. Fast forward. You know what? I'm going to save this story too. All right. Let me say this story. This was a B&E story, a story where my roommate, who I just said, someone stole his sounds, and we were about to break into someone else's house to get them back. All right, B&E.
I love how this man is just wrapped, or he's just wrapped in this world, this life.
Okay, sounds in LP. All right. So anyway, I want to get to this
TV because I feel like that's like taking up the whole bed. Just one of those things. How big?
Oh, dude, I had to. So let me tell you. So he could be a selfish SOB sometimes, right? So he went home and he had the only TV in our. We had. You think about it. You know, we got a townhouse. We got 4 bedrooms. There's 3 of us, right? He has the only TV. And we're about to have like some girls coming over. So he locked his door and I kicked his door open. I had to, one of my buddies, man, Mike, his old trick ass, is going to tell him. So Mike, who I did the flashlight story with Mike on here with you, right? Where I said the Sears, the 420 story with Mike. Remember?
Yes.
All right. So Mike working at Sears. We told Mike went and got some wood glue, and we rebuilt the lock. Since I broke the lock, we rebuilt it, right? But think about this: I had to lock the door. I had to jump out the window.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I couldn't lock it from the outside. I could only lock it to set his lock again because he had the key. So I had to lock it and then jump out of his window.
And then close the window.
He didn't know. He didn't know until Mike told his ass that we did it.
Oh,
Just like, why would you have to do that? We enjoyed what we did. Nothing was broken. Leave it be, right? Just trick nonsense. All right, that's enough of those stories. So it's me, Kari, Ron. Kari was going with Maisha. Ron was going with Rochelle, I believe, at the time, right? As I bring up these old names. And everyone's walking out, and I don't think I had been scoring. I hadn't been scoring, so I was scoring. But we're walking out. Now, mind you, we're all from Chicago or different places, but we're all metropolitan folks or whatever, right? Not belittling anybody. And we're walking out, and all of a sudden you hear some music playing, like, and there's this hoopty. And I told you where we were in Lewis Park. There's this hoopty, and here in this hoopty is old girl, the carbonite that I hooked up with one of her friends. Like some hookups you want to keep on the low. Last thing I wanted these two girls to see is I'm out here messing with the townies. There's nothing wrong with it, but I didn't want nobody needed to know about what I was doing. Right? I keep my.
But they're my business.
Look, it'd be different if she was pulling up, like she had like a Monte, like a 85 Monte Carlo, right? It was brown. Ooh. It was beat to shit. And it's her and her friend is screaming out the window, "Hey, Kim!"
Oh no!
Now I gotta go over here. Everybody watch me, and I gotta go over here and talk about why I've been ghosting and how to get y'all the fuck up out of here, right? The property value is going down.
I've been in therapy. Can you get the fuck out of here?
I'm just saying. So that and listen, that's a weak one. That's a weak one. But that story brought us so many more stories for the future that we will have moving forward. And then just listen. Even with, I can't remember her name. Even with this young lady, I have at least 2 more stories about her that let me know stuff about myself that I didn't know. Right? That I found out from being in the Carbondale projects, right? Just like, you know what? I don't like that.
So
right?
Were you able to resolve it? Were you able to get them out of their way and continue the hookup?
I mean, look, I'll tell you this, and I learned this early. I'm smooth on the breakup. I'm gonna tell you what I learned early. Let them think they broke up with you. Because the comeback is so much easier when they believe that, because you start ghosting, and then they be like, "What's going on?" And then they'd be like, "Well, it's over there," and it'd be like, "Yeah, but clearly it's been over because I ain't been around you, right?" But you know what? You can have that, right? You said it. You're right. You called it. Right? So then when they come back, I'll be like, "Dog, you broke up with me." It works every time, bro. It works every time. At least it used to. Let me put it like that. So I've had very few bad breakups, and then this was a hookup more than anything or whatever. But even with like girls that I hook up with, either they didn't like me as much, or vice versa. But it was never really to where I've only had one time where it got heated. I'm gonna put that.
Yeah, put that story down.
Heated.
For now, we'll say take your brown Monte Carlo 85 and get the hell out of here.
Oh man, and Will.
I'm just picturing this car.
Oh, dude, listen.
Exactly.
You know how it looked, dude. Listen,
yes,
I think the roof liner was hanging down. It was making so much.
There's got to be a rust hole somewhere. There's got to be a rust hole.
The whole bottom, all right, was rusted out, damn near. All right, from the door, like it was bad. Listen, good. I'll say this. I'm being disrespectful. I think a lot of stuff she did on her own. Props to her. Because she moved in with her friend, and she was working, and it didn't seem like, I don't even know if her parents lived in Carbondale or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So she was actually doing a lot.
Carbondale didn't have like a thriving industrial part of it.
Right. The school is the industry. Yeah. The schools is kind of like prison.
You're working at Walmart. You're working at something like that.
Or like the Drury Inn or something.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of towns nearby that has a ton of look at this industrial part where you can get a specialized.
The college is the lifeblood. The college is the lifeblood, and most things are based off of, for instance, like the hotels. A lot of them are based off people's parents coming down, or when they're first coming down. Like it's all
same thing with like the insurance, all that stuff.
It's all
like
based
all
off.
that
If you
stuff
didn't,
is the students coming.
Right, it's the students, and at the time back then, population wise, SIUC, even though I just call it SIU, we don't count you SIUE. SIUC, it was like the second largest college by population behind U of I. Back in
I think days. It was like the same for me. Maybe Northern had just.
We had more students. Like I think U of I may have been at 30. SIU was at 27. Northern was at like 21, I believe, back in these days.
Maybe it was a little bit when I was there. I want to say Southern was a little over 20. U of I was at the 30, like you said, and then I want to say Northern was around 23, 24 at that point.
Damn. So we was losing out. So anyway,
like, because the charm of Carbondale was that it was nothing like Chicagoland area, which you did not get from Northern or U of I. I feel like.
Dude, you're in the South. People don't realize that you're a stone's kick away from Kentucky. Like you're right there. The weather's different.
Missouri is right there. Like it is right there.
In February, we're getting like the days that we get now because of global warming. Oh, I'm gonna know. I was going to say global warming, but the days that we used to get those, right? Well, we used to get those in February, man.
Did you have the polar? What was it? Not polar plunge, but did you get that like the unofficial polar drinking day? Did you have that in January? That was a thing when I was around. They invented a unofficial drinking holiday for like January. It was like polar something. I can't remember. Or like solar something. It was like first good day of the winter, basically. And it was usually end of January, early February.
Right.
It was usually a really like just
65,
nice
75.
enough day. Yeah. Maybe not even that much. Maybe
car.
like just 60 or something. Maybe just a little bit below, but it was like you knew it's time to go out drinking, and with the sun, it felt much.
You weren't going to class that day. Your chances of going to class were low. And like I said, February,
everybody was out,
right?
And it would be all day. It was like 11 a.m. We got to be somewhere by 11 a.m. or 10 a.m.
Did you all still have Halloween break?
So when I first got there, they wanted to end the Halloween business of it, so we had to do unofficial Halloween, which was always the week before.
Okay, so for anybody that doesn't know, they would tear the town up, and when I mean it wasn't
that's why
like me.
Exactly. They tried to shut that shit down. Like Halloween, it was like the bars were closed. Actual Halloween,
dude,
so they were like,
listen,
we're gonna have to move it a week ahead.
Right. So they had tore this car apart, flipped it over, and all us black kids' parents were calling us like, "Are you okay?" And we was like, "I'm not out there. What the hell are you talking about?" Right? Like that ain't us. Like I'm not. So they would what they did because white kids would tear the town up. They would send us home. So we would get an extra holiday break, and they would send us home. So you would go home in October, then go back home in November for Christmas break. I mean, for Thanksgiving break, and then you have Christmas. So you was back home. If you went home, you were back home, back month to month to month, basically, or whatever, right? Which was cool back then because I used to love shit like that.
Bro, I used to love that drive, even though it was like 5-6 hours. That was like the perfect amount of drive time, and I'd love to do it solo.
I was just by myself. So my dad, when my dad had died, no, prior to that, I had my Jeep. I used to love, I would have my extras in my car ready to go. I would be up there howling at the moon with my windows open, my CDs just ready to go, right? Flying up in my Grand Cherokee Limited 19. You know what I'm saying? I would do the same.
You're just on, what was it, 57 or 55?
Yeah, 57. If you're driving fast, 4.5 hours, 4:15 if you're flying.
Mine was a little bit more because I was a little more north than Chicago, but yeah.
I did it on the crazy winter days when all the trucks and cars were off in the ridges.
Bro, you would see the like, I would call it the semi-truck graveyard. Like, Lion King, the elephant graveyard. Like, that's what it would make me think of. You just see all these semi-trucks on the side just pushed over. It was like, damn.
I got a story for that we're not going to do. about going down there and actually getting into a crash in one of those. Got a story for that. We'll save that.
How the hell that would go.
We'll always, but the first time it was me and this dude named BJ, Boy Jarrell, and BJ had like a Mercury. I forgot the type of car it was, but he had a stick. Man, BJ rode that motherfucking stick and took us back home. It was so icy and so many. This was the first time I was out there, and I was like, all these cars are off and crashed out and slipped off the road. And man, we made it home. It was so crazy. Then I did it, and I remember doing it when I had my Grand Cherokee Limited, and I picked up a girlfriend, and we're flying down 57 in the city because she lived down Country Club Hills, and I'm flying, and I was like, man, this car, because I had all-wheel drive. I was like, man, this car eats the snow. She was like, that's what they told you. And I remember it always stuck to me. I was like, let me slow my ass down. You got a point there. You got a little point there. You're right. I need to slow down, but yeah. So those are some of the stories.
It's funny though, like with Carbondale specifically, it's we've talked about it. Like I'd love to like visit the college thing, but there's just no reason to visit there. But when you're there, it's like this own bubble of an area. Like it's Illinois, but like you said, we're the South almost at that point because you just have all this, and while you're there, it's like the world is blocked out. It's its own world, and then you leave there and you like never want to come back. I'm
like you hit it on the head. I don't have nostalgia to the point where I want to revisit it, but I enjoy my time. Look, it's funny reading the Daily Egyptian, and I remember seeing people like the people that comes from the city and the people down there, and people from down there would be like, if you guys don't like it, why are you here? And I used to be like, yeah, like, dude, clearly it's slow. We know it's slow. And this is if you start. This is why if you had just began having an attraction to marijuana, what makes marijuana great, because that's the only thing damn near to do outside of court.
And then everybody, outside of that, and on top of it, what I love too was like even just the dorms, the towers versus Thompson Point, so different in the vibe, the atmosphere, the environment. And then you're talking about people where they live. You got people in the heart of like downtown. You got people in like the outskirts, brand new places, the traditional like living areas, like Lewis Park area. But then you got like the people that are like way outside in some random ass house kind of area too, like
a trailer.
Just everything.
When you learn trailers weren't bad, it was like, damn, y'all got some space up in this joint, right? Damn, my man, like y'all got a nice trailer up in here, right? Like, I'm not gonna do it.
The local neighbors are all drunk at 11 p.m. Right. We don't have to worry about partying too late.
So my last place that I lived down there, we always had extra space. So the last place I lived, we had a place right behind the mall, right? So like where if you're going towards the mall, you make that right and it's the gas station. Mm-hmm. And then you go over the hill and you get the right to the gas station. We were the next exit after the gas station. It was like Circle something. And we had what would have been the equivalent of two. Yeah. The name of the place where we stayed at or whatever was Circle something. And what we had though, so how it was, it would be 4 apartments, you know what I'm saying? 4 apartments on each floor. It was 2 floors, right? So it's 4 apartments on each floor, but we had 2 apartments for ourselves. So he was on the other side. He was on what would have been his own apartment, but they were connected in the kitchen, right? So we had 3 bedrooms instead of 2. So his apartment was initially a 2-bedroom. My side was a 1-bedroom. But we had, like, for instance, 2 bathrooms. You know what I'm saying? We had a space over there for a dining room, and on my side was our living room area or whatever. So it was, we were both driving too. So it wasn't a problem getting on campus or, coming back or whatever, right? That was the last. But look, you're right. It's such a unique bubble down there. And it's funny that so many of my friends, you, Kyle, you know what I'm saying? Like, so many people you connect with, and it's like a frat to a degree of being like,
and Greek life is non-existent out there, basically. That's what's it's such a hypocrisy, but in a positive way.
Not on the black side, but I'll say this too. Funny part is the population, like you just said, that how Northern overtook SIU. Now the population is even lower because they don't even use the towers. Remember, like I was just reading an article, and I don't know if you talked about it about 2 or 3 months ago, talking about, I think maybe everyone stays in TP or something. Like it's something where I don't know where they stay, but I don't believe I think they were thinking about I think they were thinking about tearing them down, but maybe they're not, because I mean, people don't. Now it could be wrong. The towers were the tallest buildings in Southern Illinois, which is crazy. We're talking about a dorm.
I thought they were like the tallest buildings in the Midwest, besides like Chicago or something. Like there was something crazy like that.
If you go to those top floors, man, the view is sweet. But man, it would be hell on those fire drills. And look, we used to have where people used to try to break the fire drill record. Right, where it'd be like this semester, like someone pulls the fire drill 20 something out of time. It's nothing. No, the last part. There's nothing like finding out. There's nothing like finding out who's with who due to the fire drill. Either walking out their room or who goes and sits by each other when you're out in the cold. Those fire drills should be so. We have to go outside and wait. I remember my man's had got into it with his girl. And he hid under his bed because he was talking to her back in Chicago. He didn't want to come out because he was so highly upset. He stayed in the building during the fire drill in his bed. Just how high he was towards his girlfriend. We're like, this motherfucker is still in the damn building, right?
Better hope it's not on fire.
Right. Totally. All right. So
I'll tell you what, that moving when you were up in the tower, that was the worst. I'll tell you. At least being towards the bottom. The moving was worth
What floor were you on? What floor were you on?
I was not high. I was like 3, 4. Like,
I was 4. I was on the 4th floor. I was on the. It was just high enough. We was on the 4th floor, and it was co-ed too. Because some floors were one sex, right? So like ended up like my first girlfriend was stayed across the hall, one room down. Right. It was,
yeah. I think mine was. I don't remember what mine was. I don't remember if it was co-ed. I feel like I just had a bunch of dudes though.
Yeah, sorry for you. All right, so that's it for the pull-up segment and Carbondale reminisce that me and Ryan are going to work on. Does anybody got any college stories or any stories in general you want to share? Definitely put them in the comments, man. We'd definitely like to read them and rehash some of the stuff that's going on in your life. We always appreciate you all taking a little bit of time out of your day. You don't have to do it just to listen to us talk and go over past memories, sports, or whatever we do. So definitely stay safe and don't do anything stupid before you hear from us again.